Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to, I think, is what our fifth or sixth week of quarantine and isolation. But it is also the third week of Easter, and for that we are immensely, immensely grateful for the gift of the resurrection. I think that, again, over and over again, I keep reflecting on how interesting it is that we are having to struggle with the idea of our mortality in a very season that we are focusing on the resurrection. And the two are very much intertwined. And I hope that we end up learning a lot from this. I think, as I said in weeks past, we will have to take time when things normalize to whatever that normal will be, to reflect on these past months and how we have seen God working in the darkness and in the crisis, as well as wondering and praying about how is God calling us to be in the future? How is this experience that we are all undertaking going to mold what the future of God's church looks like? And I think that is a very important thing for us to think about and to pray about, because God does not act. God is acting through all of this and calling us to something new through all of this. And that will be some very interesting and fruitful discussions, I think. As usual, Winston sends his love. I know that he's the star of these videos, as you all tell me, so he's always very glad to get that attention. I'm going to keep this much shorter than last week, I promise. Just a few things I want to announce. One of them being, if you have read some of my emails in the last few days, the bishop has decided that our churches will not reopen until at least mid-June. So that May 17th date is not going to happen. Working with all of the other bishops of New York. So the entire state of New York, all the bishops are working together on how to put together a plan for us to come back into our church buildings safely. And it does not look like that will be able to happen until June. And even when it does happen, we are going to have to adjust how we interact with each other and how we worship and adapt so that we can be safe until the danger of this virus subsides to a point where kind of this distancing from each other is no longer necessary. I do think that when we talk about going back to being with each other again and questioning how do we keep each other safe, I think it's important for us to remember that we need to focus on how we live, not just how we avoid death. Because living is not avoiding death. As a people who say that we do not fear death because we know that in the end we will share in the resurrection with Jesus Christ, the future of what our church looks like needs to reflect that. It does not need to reflect solely what it means to avoid physical death. And that's a very hard balance for us, and I think it's one that we all need to pray about and think about. How do we do that? So, that being said, all of the online worship will continue as normal, as we've been having these weeks. I sent out the first two videos of a series that Father Kevin has begun to put together about the worship of the church, and I do hope in your spare time that you have a chance to look at that. It's very, very interesting, and he does a very, very good job with it. Sundays after morning prayer, beginning next Sunday, May 3rd, so May 3rd at 9:45, we are going to host the Alpha Series course. And the Alpha Series is a wonderful course that I've actually done with the Wednesday Bible study. And now we're going to kind of broaden that in a different way than I had anticipated when I thought I was going to offer it to the whole church, but we're going to do it online instead of in person. It's a video series that the video lasts about a half an hour. We'll have a half an hour of discussion after that. It's a really wonderful course. It has transformed me every time that I do it in my walk with Christ. It is very spirituality focused. It's not necessarily academic, but it asks us to examine our relationship with God and Jesus Christ in some very interesting ways. I am asking that people sign up for that. You will see the link for the sign up in the email that contains this video, because I need to be able to send course materials out before each Sunday. And there's more information about this in today's email. And I do hope that you might invite some family members who may not be church members or neighbors or friends. Alpha Course is a really good introduction to Christianity, as well as one that helps Christians renew their own spiritual life. It is a good introduction to the faith for those who may not be Christians or may not have a very strong relationship with God and Jesus Christ. So please do extend that invitation to your family, friends, and neighbors. Of course, we have had some sad news this week. We know our brother Charles Thorpe entered into glory on Monday as a result of complications from the coronavirus. He has been cremated. We will have his funeral. It will be a funeral, not a memorial service, because his remains will be there when it is safe to do so, probably in the fall, and he will be interred in the columbarium at the church. I do ask that you keep his wife Dorothy and his children and his grandchildren in your prayers as they grieve the loss of Charles. Again, I just want to close by saying how incredibly touched and grateful I am for all of your love and support that you have shown me and to Father Kevin throughout all this, and all the love and support that you have shown your church throughout all of this. We know that the church is still the church, even as we are slightly exiled from our building, but worship still is necessary, and firming up our faith is still necessary. So I am incredibly grateful for your participation and your love and your support through this crisis. We continue to pray. We continue to pray fervently for those who are sick, for those who are dying. We ask God's blessing upon those who are dying. But we also really need to begin to thank God that we are starting to see some improvement in this situation. It may not be as fast as many of us would wish, but there is improvement going on, and we need to give God thanks and praise that we're beginning to see some light at the end of this period of darkness. So I continue to wish you all a very happy Easter in these 50 days of Easter. I look forward to seeing you online on morning prayer or through the Alpha Course. Remember that we have a virtual coffee hour tomorrow, Sunday the 26th at 11 through Zoom. So I hope that you'll join us for that as a chance just for us to all catch up with each other outside of any kind of formal liturgy. And you should know this by now, but I will repeat it, that you all are constantly in my prayers. And I, again, give God great thanks and praise for the privilege of being your rector. I pray for your safety. I pray for your family's safety. I pray for God's blessing upon our world. I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon.